hot in here now, so really I'm not having any trouble mixing this. You'll see it turn a little bit cloudy before it gets nice and bright. If I'm mixing a larger amount, I really get in there and scramble it. And when I'm mixing it, I just kind of wipe my stick on the side, bring it around, wipe it on the side, and it just really will get it nice and mixed. So you just want to make sure it's exact 1 to 1, and then it's mixed well, and you can't go wrong. Okay, in my line then, I have 2 things. I actually have in the jewelry department. I find you know, maybe in stores where it's hands-on, where there's education. These sell paper products with ice resin, sell really well in the mixed media areas. These don't sell that well in the jewelry department, so it's not one of the best sellers in the jewelry department, but I love having them with me because it's kind of a base to start on. Mixed media, it's crazy, you know. So these are actually images that can fit into the small pieces, the large pieces, just some cool images. This actually is the tissue, and so this actually, I like to keep these opaque. And when I'm working on pieces, I already have these cut to size. I have templates with these. Did these ahead of time because you think 30 minutes would be a good amount of time, but man, I've got a lot to show you guys. Okay, and this is the paper sealant. If I use, so what ice resin will do, it will make paper transparent, which is cool when we're building journals. You know, I'm actually doing a journal class with ice resin in Portland in a couple weeks. Oh my God, it's gorgeous with transparent papers. But if you don't want it transparent, you know, I want to be able to see an image, I'm going to use my paintbrush. This is part of the line. These are super duper cheap. They're natural fibers, and I think it's like $1 wholesale. And I'm always trying to make these sell, because if they get dropped from the line, I'm in trouble when I go teach. But because really, when I have to dig everywhere to find inexpensive brushes. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and seal this whole thing. I end up using my hands for this. So step 1 is double-sided, so you can decide later. I try not, you know, the more you put on, the longer it's going to take to dry, but it's a pretty quick dry. I do the back also because look, then I can just stick it down, and with ice resin, it if you don't tack things down that are light, they'll float up because it's a real kind of a buoyant, and has a lot of buoyancy to it. Okay. So, while that dries, I want to show you guys my luster real quick. This is new to the line. I've been begging these guys for a patina. I do a whole class in patinas and talisman and that type of stuff. So I got this, and it's gorgeous. So you can actually see where I've used it. Oh, this is what it looks like on the resin. This is one of my pieces you know, just I do symbolism, sand. You know, I'm finding now that I've been doing this so long, it's like I love beating pieces up, sanding them, carving into them. So I really like to have other pieces around like this where, you know, people are just starting. I have a whole new group of people starting again, and they're just like, oh, I don't really want my piece to look dirty like that, you know? So I'm like, let me show you somebody else's work. So this is the luster around the sides, yeah. So anyway.
So the luster product is a patina to use on the outside of the bezels,
on the outside,
not inside the resin.
You could use both. You could even mix it with the resin. Yeah, if it's mixed with the resin, it's beautiful. So it's an opaque color. I usually will use it painted on. It's opaque. It is an ink base, and it has, it sticks on metal. This is made to stick on metal. It's hard to move off. Once it dries, I have to sand it. But I really like putting it onto my, here's where I've used it here, on the inside, on the outside, because it just gives it a deeper type of look. Yeah. So the way that I do that is with my paintbrush. If I don't put resin on my paintbrush, I can use these over and over. Once resin's on there, forget about it. So I usually just dab it You
She laughed. It wasn't me.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I understand.
Yeah, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Grew up in Chicago, so. And I actually moved into Cleveland, the city. So I'm real excited to be in the city again.
Go Cleveland.
Go get this little, you know, kind of funky. It's what Chicago looked like 30 years ago, you know. So it's like kind of a little neighborhood city. So, okay, so this is, you know, I could do things like this. I could sand off any of it if I didn't want it on. I use the black and the blue a lot right now because I'm kind of stuck on those colors. But the red is really pretty too. I didn't even open it up. Okay, so this just takes a minute. This is almost dry.
How many colors are in your luster line?
3. So I've got 3 luster, just the 3 to start with. So that's brand new. The end caps are brand new. You guys want to see what these wires feel like? They're really dead soft and they bend so easily. So I can take one for the top of my necklace. I'll entertain you guys while this dries. And in class, you can use your fingers to work with this work. So I took it and I just bent it around like this, brought it around, and then we used it on the top of our leather. And then what I did is I took an end and just kind of twisted it so it wouldn't catch on your clothes. You know, for me, always in my mind is how can this hold up when you wear it? How can it not catch on your clothes? How can it not rip, you know, your expensive clothing? Because, you know, I have done that. So I'm always working on that in my mind. So you could do this neat. I usually do mine messy, you know, and I used it here to connect. I also had people put a couple jump rings on. I'll show you guys a jump ring and I'll connect this. This is one of my druzy pieces here that I hope to have time to show you guys. Jump rings, it's so interesting. When I did my line in Industrial Chic, I showed over and over how to open and close a jump ring. It was, even in my class that I did 2 days ago, it was, you know, it's a lot of like, I was like, all right, you guys are gonna do 4 or 5 jump rings. You're gonna be an expert by the time we're done. So I really focused my education on a jump ring. You know, you wouldn't think. So anyway, if I wanted to attach this, I'm gonna attach it to this piece. I like mixing my metals when I put metals together. And this is nice and dry, and so now I'm actually gonna go over to the candy bar and just, you know, get in. I kind of will put mine in one area.
Susan, can you tell us about the glitter a little bit?
So I have 2. The glitter is actually, it's real glass. It's not dyed, so it's not gonna leak out in your ice resin. You know, it's a higher end. When I work with ice resin and I work in jewelry, I work with the higher end always, you know. So, I mean, it's a good value for what it is, but it's not gonna leak out in a liquid situation. So it's not dyed, it actually is the color of the glass. It's real glass. This is actually a real druzy stone, which is the inside of a geode. So I was building with druzys, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got this. You know, this is this. You know, and maybe a little gray mixed in, maybe a little dirty mixed in. You know, so actually, I started really doing these fabulous with the glitters. These are actually
because that looks different.
Yeah, these are actually these are plastic, so they're holographic, okay. And they're opals. So I'll show you what these look like. Yes, here we go. This is the opals. You guys can see.
Is this also that same product?
No, this is actually
Is that the glitter?
This is the glitter.
That's
yeah, I'll throw a little bit in here too. Isn't that gorgeous? I know, I love that color. So this is the opals in here. I wanted to put, this is a beautiful piece. Kind of reminds me of a peacock. And, you know, that is the opal. So it's gorgeous. It doesn't do it justice to look at the pieces from here, you know, but.
And how many colors of glass and how many colors of opals?
I have got 6 in the large grit and 6 in the fine grit. And these I've got five opals now. One of
Fantastic.
them is a fire opal, and one of them is just a beautiful opal. So let me show you guys making the druzy. I'm gonna actually just use, you wanna fill it up about halfway for the druzy. I'm actually just gonna make this piece I have on. And then I'm just gonna overfill. So this is the only product that I really keep the glass exposed because I'm really building a piece like this. So the glass is exposed. It's gonna sink in there a little bit. This is one I poured earlier, and if I see too much resin coming around the side, I just go in and I pour again on top. Anything loose will come off later. So this kind of gives a little bunched up type of look when you over pour. So it really looks, you know, really gives a feel. Afterwards, sometimes I rub a little paint in just to dirty it up and make it how it's supposed to be, or how a real druzy should be. Okay, and I am going to then just go ahead and pour into here. I'm nice and dry now. My luster will not come off, so I don't have to cover that with ice resin. And I'm gonna pour into here. I didn't mix enough. You know, I guess I started working with, I think my favorite size now is this size, but I still have so many people that are so excited about the really large ones. I mean, they're fun. I always have a large one in the classroom because you can get in here maybe for people who haven't done this type of work too much. The larger ones are easier because you can build more, you know? So I find if I'm doing a beginning class, I always do a large bezel because you can set up a little ecosystem. And it's a little bit down the road where I get like, all right, you guys, every piece doesn't have to be a statement in itself, you know? And that's where it's like, I like to use pieces like this that you tell a story on their way down, you know, layering them up. This is just a cap I found. So the resin is a 6-hour dry, and it dries 6 hours because it is a paper tray, and it is going to work out all the holes. So you could use rice papers, linen papers, papers, you know, the old papers that come from France, pre-1920. Yeah, you see the double print, yeah. But it actually was